For much of the existence of the league, the NBA has been defined by super teams, stacking multiple all-stars on a roster to take prolonged runs at a championship. Could something like that exist in the NHL? In today's league, it's extremely difficult. The hard salary cap puts strict limits on spending, and hockey itself doesn't lend to it as easily. Top players only see the ice for a fraction of the game, and even having a few elite stars doesn't always translate into wins. But that hasn't stopped teams from trying to load up. Because of the salary cap, the game hasn't seen many instances of a so-called super team attempt. Before the cap era, though, things were very different. Teams had far more freedom to spend and could stack their lineups with star power, often bringing together multiple all-stars and future Hall of Famers in one place. Some of those loaded rosters delivered championships, while others fell short despite all the talent. In today's video, we're breaking down 5 NHL super team attempts that failed miserably. The Pittsburgh Penguins struck gold in the draft, landing Mario Lemieux in 1984 and Jaromir Jagr in 1990. Those two didn't just become franchise cornerstones, they became all-time greats and the driving force behind a team that captured back-to-back Stanley Cups and a President's Trophy between 1991 and 1993. But they weren't doing it alone. The front office went all in, surrounding them with elite talent by bringing a wave of future Hall of Famers from the late 80s into the early 90s. That group included Paul Coffey, Ron Francis, Larry Murphy, Joe Mullen, Brian Trottier, and Mark Recchi, who the team drafted in 1988. And that list still leaves out key contributors like goaltender Tom Barrasso and prolific scorer Rick Tocchet, who piled up 440 career goals. Add in Kevin Stevens alongside Lemieux and Jagr, and the result was one of the most loaded rosters of its era. It's no surprise they dominated the early 90s. The Penguins remain one of just a handful of teams in the past 3 decades to win consecutive Stanley Cups. Their bid for a third straight title ended in 1993 when David Volek and the New York Islanders pulled off a shocking upset. That 1993 Penguin squad, highlighted by an NHL record 17-game winning streak, may have been the strongest version of them all, despite falling short of the three-peat. By the early 2000s, the Detroit Red Wings were already firmly re-established as one of the NHL's elite franchises. They had snapped a decades-long championship drought with Stanley Cups in 1997 and 1998, built around homegrown stars like Steve Yzerman, Sergei Fedorov, and Nicklas Lidstrom, all under the guidance of legendary coach Scotty Bowman. Then came the 2001-02 season, when they took things to another level. That offseason, Detroit pushed all its chips in. They signed Brett Hull and Luc Robitaille in free agency and pulled off a blockbuster trade for Dominik Hasek to anchor the crease. And that was on top of a roster already loaded with talent. Brendan Shanahan, Chris Chelios, Igor Larionov, and a young Pavel Datsyuk just beginning to emerge as a star. The result was one of the most stacked teams the league has ever seen. Detroit dominated the regular season, finishing with 116 points and capturing the President's Trophy by a wide margin. In the playoffs, their toughest came in the Western Conference Final against the Colorado Avalanche, one of the only teams at the time that could realistically match their level of talent. As noted earlier, the Colorado Avalanche were one of the few teams in the early 2000s that could truly rival the Detroit Red Wings in terms of sheer talent. Their core featured stars like Joe Sakic, Peter Forsberg, Milan Hajduk, Alex Tanguay, Ray Bourque, and Rob Blake. Between 1996 and 2002, the Avalanche and Red Wings dominated the league, combining to win 5 of 7 Stanley Cups and establishing themselves as the era's defining powerhouses. After watching Detroit go all in 2002, Colorado tried to answer a year later with a bold move of its own. In 2003, they brought in Teemu Selanne and Paul Kariya in free agency. The two were essentially a package deal, given their history together with the Anaheim Ducks. And Kariya even took a 1-year contract well below market value to make it happen. But unlike Detroit's supercharged roster, it didn't fully come together. Colorado remained a strong team, but their season ended in disappointment with a second-round playoff loss to the San Jose Sharks. During the regular season, Selanne struggled through one of the least productive years of his career, while Correa was limited to just 51 games due to injury, preventing the duo from making the impact many expected. This one clearly falls into the category of super teams that didn't work. In the years leading up to the 2004 NHL lockout, the league was sharply divided between big spending contenders and everyone else. Teams like Detroit Red Wings and Colorado Avalanche could load up on stars, while others simply couldn't keep up financially. The New York Rangers were determined to be one of those big spenders, and from 2001 to 2004, they aggressively chased star power. They traded for Eric Lindros ahead of the 2001-02 season, hoping the former MVP could return to form after injuries and a dispute with the Philadelphia Flyers. That same season, they added elite goal scorer Pavel Bure. In 2003, they finally landed Jaromir Jagr and also brought back Alexei Kovalev. On paper, it looked like a powerhouse. In reality, it went nowhere. Across those seasons, the Rangers didn't just fall short, they failed to make the playoffs entirely and didn't record a single winning season. A big part of the issue was timing. Lindros was no longer the same force due to recurring concussions. Bure's career was derailed by knee injuries, and Kovalev's stint was short-lived before another trade. Beyond that, the supporting roster simply wasn't strong enough to complement the star names. The one exception was Jagr, who found his elite form again after the lockout. During the 2005-06 season, he nearly captured both the scoring title and MVP and helped carry the Rangers back into playoff relevance between 2006 and 2008, before eventually heading to Russia for a few seasons. This might be a bit of a reach, but it's probably the closest thing to a super team we've seen in the salary cap era. The Detroit Red Wings were coming off a dominant Stanley Cup run in 2007-08, icing a roster that still stands as one of the strongest of the cap era. In the final, they made a stacked Pittsburgh Penguins squad featuring Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Marian Hossa, and Sergei Gonchar look overmatched at times. Detroit's core was elite across the board. Pavel Datsyuk and Henrik Zetterberg were arguably the best two-way forwards in the league, while the blue line was anchored by Nicklas Lidstrom and Brian Rafalski. Surrounding them was a deep, disciplined roster that didn't have many weaknesses. Then they doubled down. Fresh off the championship, Detroit signed Hossa, the very player they had just beaten in the final, on a one-year deal. On paper, it felt unfair. And for most of the season, it looked that way, with Hossa scoring 40 goals in just 74 games and further elevating an already loaded lineup. But hockey doesn't always follow the script. In a Stanley Cup final rematch, the Penguins got their revenge, winning in 7 games and denying Detroit a repeat. It was a reminder that even the most stacked rosters aren't guaranteed anything, and that the NHL, especially in the salary cap era, still resists the idea of a true super team. And there you have it, 5 instances of NHL super team attempts that didn't pan out. So who would you add to this list? Do recent Maple Leaf teams crack a list like this one day? Or even now? Let us know in the comments. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos.